fans, do you want to win your share of $100,000? Simply enter the houseofboxing.com Fight Night Prediction Challenge. Compete with boxing fans around the world. Simply head over to houseofboxing.com and sign up now.
This is Charlie Parsons for Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. Always a pleasure, Mr. Gareth A Davies on Zoom. He's just moved in to his new gaff. He's telling me everything's looking pretty stupendous, I must say. How are you, my friend?
I'm very good. I'm in my new gaff. Better have a little on. You'll probably call it the Gad Gaff in a minute or something.
The Gad Gaff with the vape.
Indeed, Charlie. What's that?
How's things? All good?
Things are very good, thank you. Very good indeed.
I suppose let's go straight into it. We had the breaking news Friday evening that Fury Usyk was signed. Now, there were whispers that this was sort of going on behind the scenes, but no one wanted to sort of talk or preempt on anything. But it's all, well, we say it's all done. It's all signed for now. They've said December the 23rd or some date in January. Your reaction? Derek Chisora said, never be surprised when the Saudis are in town.
No, exactly, because obviously Fury is part of the deal. We know that because he's facing Francis Ngannou at the opening of the Riyadh season on October the 28th. Big event, of course, there, huge event, and they've put so much behind it, and it's growing. But they've got Usyk on board, and obviously I know a lot of people in the background to this, and I knew that these talks were going on, and I've always said to you, and I've said to everyone, that this will play out, and it was a matter of timing and the finances being right. And they've obviously got to that point, and Fury needs to go out and do the deed against Ngannou now, not get caught up in one of the greatest heavyweight shocks of all time, which it would be, if not the biggest. Other people think that Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson was, but I would think this, if Ngannou knocks Fury out, it'll be the biggest shock in heavyweight boxing history ever, period. That's how big a favourite he is, and obviously he's got to take Ngannou seriously. But I've always thought that Fury and Usyk would meet. The stars have aligned, and obviously the Saudi Arabians have made it happen along with the two teams. So the money's right. I don't think it'll happen in December. I reckon it'll happen in January. I don't think there's too much time in between. But, maybe there's an attitude, Charlie, to have the first fight in December and the second one in March, if they want to, do a double header. So
now that would be throwback, wouldn't it?
Well, or they do the first one in March and they do the second one at the beginning of the Riyadh season 2024. But the big heavyweight fights now seem to be heading towards the Middle East, and that's even reflected, I think, in the reticence of Eddie Hearn to declare all-out war with Joshua and Wilder, even though that's collapsed for now with Skills Challenge, and say, he's not saying we are definitely going to make it happen. What he's saying is we've got to make fights happen in the UK because everything is heading over there, which is a veiled reason for wanting to put on, not even veiled, but wanting to put on the Chris Eubank Conor Benn fight maybe in the UK in December. The dates definitely won't clash. Doesn't make sense, because Fury and Usyk is going to usurp everything in that respect. But my instinct is that Fury and Usyk will go into January.
Let me just pick up on that.
Huge news for the division.
Absolutely, huge news it was. Well, let me pick up on that and the intricacies then. We're hearing that Tyson Fury could earn in excess of $200 million, which would be absolute crazy money. We haven't heard anything rumoured for Oleksandr Usyk, but I suppose it's also quite refreshing to finally see an undisputed fight in the heavyweight division after sort of years of it being toyed and spoke about and never quite happening. Then you look back at the Klitschko era and certain brothers not wanting to fight each other. We finally look forward to an undisputed fight, 4-belt division with the heavyweights.
Yeah, and we might have had undisputed title fights between 1999. Lennox Lewis obviously was the last undisputed belt holder, and it just shows the complexity of promotional wranglings, different broadcasters, and the complexities of bringing all the sanctioning belts together, and also the lack of desire from a lot of the promoters. I mean, if you recall, Klitschko could have fought Deontay Wilder quite easily as well, but that fight never happened prior to 2015, for example. So at the time, there wasn't the noise that there is today on social media and all those areas. And one did wonder at the time why that didn't happen, but they were kept apart. You know, Klitschko was doing his thing in Germany, Wilder was doing his thing in America at the time, and they didn't bring them together. But there wasn't the development perhaps of the UFC at the time, where the best fight the best very quickly. Boxing doesn't have that algorithm, but I mean, I'm delighted it is happening. I'm delighted it's signed anyway. I don't know about 200 million. My scouts haven't told me the figure is that big at the moment. I know Bob Arum said a few things. I think last week I heard him say, or read him saying, 200 million in one interview and 100 million in another.
Yeah, he did do that. Yeah.
Now, it wouldn't surprise me if it's $100 million. But that's probably the 2-fight deal with Usyk. If it's a 2-fight deal, I think all these details will be revealed. They're a little quiet about the actual detail at the moment. Usyk's obviously getting the right money. My understanding is they both negotiated separate deals for that fight, which makes sense as well. But look, the time's right. Timing and money is right. Egos are to one side for now. Timing and money is right. And I think we will get that fight. It's signed. Obviously, contracts need to be dealt and all that kind of thing. But I don't see an issue with it. And also, I mean, I don't buy the arguments that Fury was avoiding Usyk. I don't buy the arguments that Usyk was hard done by earlier in the year. He didn't want the fight till the money was going to be right for the Undisputed. And they've both done the right thing. They're both close to checking out in their careers, you know. They're probably not either of them 2 or 3 fights from the end. And maybe that whole series is going to play out in the Middle East under the Saudi Arabians. And so be it, you know, under the Saudi Arabians, as opposed to the Las Vegas casinos, which would have been the other place, or of course, Wembley Stadium. But if Eddie Hearn can get Wilder and Joshua in at Wembley Stadium, great. Or if he can get them in in the Las Vegas venue, then great. But I mean, I had this chat with Simon Jordan earlier today on Talk Sport. You know, this morning on the White and Jordan show. There is definitely an element of Joshua needing to get himself in the mix. And a win against Wilder would create that big Fury super fight if Fury beats Usyk. But he kind of needs a big win in many ways before he fights Fury. And I said, maybe Joshua waits out, see if Fury wins. But if they do fight twice, Fury and Usyk, he could be waiting a very long time. But it's still a fight I want to see in this era.
Well, let's pick up on that Joshua Wilder stuff. It's now not rumoured to be Joshua's next fight. We think that Joshua maybe will fight in December himself against someone, you know, we don't really know at the minute. No opponents have been spoken about, but I
hope it's not Otto Wallin, because he's growing on me.
He just had a great win against Murat Gassiev.
Yeah.
Eddie said that he is speaking to parties in the Middle East, revealed today that he believes the fight still happens, maybe March time. I believe Qatar and Abu Dhabi are potential site bidders. Would you be surprised? I mean, look, I think the first time this fight was discussed in 2015, we really want to see it, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely we do. It's a very thrilling prospect. Wilder's so dangerous. If Joshua can get a victory against Wilder, it propels him back into the top 3, no question about it. And also it puts him in that mix with the Saudi Arabians as well, because that's probably where he wants to head for the fight with Fury. You know, huge investments being made by them in this Riyadh season, and I'm sure that Joshua wants a piece of it. Things need to fit in, you know, it's a jigsaw a lot of the time, especially when big money is on the table. And we're talking tens of millions here. So It's not an easy business decision. And as I keep repeating, these guys are at the end of their careers. It's the pinnacle money. Floyd Mayweather was the past master at this. And look how successful he was. In fact, he can't even give it up. He's giving exhibitions twice a year. But I've always said, be patient with the heavyweight division, because we need to be. Let me just plug my laptop in a minute. It's running out of juice. Give me a chance to have another little vape as well. Ooh, lemon and lime, this one. I don't know what I've done, but I've lost audio with you.
What about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you went on to mute.
I don't know why.
Some professional as me plugging in.
Rishi Sunak's banned him, Gareth. What are you going to do?
What's that?
Rishi Sunak has actually banned the elf bars.
Are they banned already?
Yeah, they've been banned. They're not immediately, but they are within.
I'll be going out and buying a few boxes before that happens, so at least I've got.
Well, you might want to get in now. Gareth, where were we? I can't even remember. That's from you. On AJ Wilder, the site offers and all the intricacies and everything, and AJ getting himself back in with the top dogs. The ideal world really would be to see Joshua Wilder happen in March, and then obviously Fury Usyk, those two fights to pay out, potentially be done by summertime 2024, and then maybe the winners collide on the line. But who knows in this sport, I suppose.
Well, look, no one, honestly, it was a shock to everyone when the Fury Usyk fight was announced as signed last week. But I know some of the protagonists behind the scenes, and they were delighted that His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh put it out there, because they wanted to make it public, and they wanted to make it, as they did, #big time, and it is big time. It's huge. And even Eddie said, Eddie Hearn, the rival promoter, said this helps. I think it might be an interview with you. This helps the ecosystem of boxing in lots of ways, because it allows lots of other things to move and stimulates the movement of everything else. It's been a slow burn in the heavyweight division for a little while, and people will always complain, because this is the algorithm of boxing, unfortunately. And you just go back to the fact that heavyweight boxing, big time boxing, always takes a lot to get the big figures together.
Gareth, just lastly on Fury Usyk itself, don't know whether you'll be able to make a prediction, as us in the industry usually fence it a little bit, as we have relations and interviews with both parties and both teams. But how do you assess that fight? A lot of people saying now that we're edging Oleksandr Usyk before, after the Daniel Dubois fight. He showed vulnerabilities, low blow or not. People, it seems to be, the general consensus was prior to Tyson Fury, but maybe edging that a little bit more now. Do you think that would be correct?
I still maintain the same thing, which is Usyk is a very tricky opponent for Fury in the early rounds, and he's got great skills. And I think, he's a majestic exponent in the ring. He's a fantastic ring general. And I think, Fury's not going to jump on him straight away. I think it will be a very close fight for 6 rounds. But I think Fury's too big and too clever, and will eventually pull away in the fight and win it just comfortably, or might even jump on Usyk if he manages to get to Usyk's body later in the fight.
We saw last weekend Canelo. Well, I say last weekend. I suppose it was really. It feels only because it was so early on a Sunday. It really feels like yesterday still. Charlo with a very, very strange performance, I must say. Now, in the build-up, Derek James said that he would have rather that he came in a little bit lighter, but no, he used that full 168 limit. He didn't look to have much power in there when he landed on Canelo. Canelo just kept marching forward, was down towards the back end of the fight, did stay in it the whole fight, but was on his bike pretty much from about round 4.
Yeah, a taller man, but a lighter man. Weight divisions for a reason. Didn't get Canelo's respect early enough, and Canelo was able to walk him down and load up with his shots. And I think it forced Jermell to cover up a lot because he couldn't time Canelo and couldn't go into exchanges with him. He had one or two successes in that way over the rounds, but he couldn't find himself in there. Canelo was too good for him. It's exactly as I thought it would play out. He didn't. It was almost as if, of course, he took his opportunity, but he just wasn't good enough for Canelo. Wasn't big enough. Wasn't strong enough to hold him off. Canelo got everything right. He wrapped his head under his arm every time they got in close.
400 times, yeah.
I know, but what did Charlo do about it? He didn't try and hit him to the body. He didn't push him off. He didn't hit him with a low blow. He looked a little bit overawed by the. Yes, of course, he was an undisputed champion, and we have had undefeated champions against undefeated champions before, but in different weight classes. But he looked a bit overawed by Canelo's power and presence, in my view. He looked second best the whole time, and I mean, I stayed up and watched it all as well live. It was about 4:45 a.m. it began, I think, on Sunday morning, and I thought Canelo was back to his very, very best and wasn't really challenged. I thought he won. I think he won every round.
Every round, yeah, I agree.
And he got 10-8 in there, of course, as well. So,
Gareth, let me just pick up on that then. Do you think he could have forced a stoppage? We know from early on in the fight he was throwing those big looping shots. I saw him target the bicep within the first couple of rounds, like he did in that Callum Smith fight as well. All in all, it was actually a very solid performance. I think credit to Charlo in that he did show toughness. He did eat a lot of horrible left hooks to the body. But thought maybe could have forced a stoppage in the last couple of rounds, maybe.
Maybe, but Charlo didn't open up. So.
I get that.
So it didn't open up in exchanges to be. He never. There weren't really many exchanges, were there? I mean, we haven't seen really exciting Canelo fights since Golovkin, or maybe his name is escaping me now. They had some exchanges.
Caleb Plant.
Caleb Plant. Yeah, that was quite an exciting fight.
Yeah.
I was prepared to bring it, but we haven't seen a really exciting Canelo since the first two Golovkin fights, really, because Golovkin really had his respect whenever he landed. So Canelo is going to go down as a modern great. I don't think he's got too many fights left, but as he said afterwards, I love this.
Yeah.
I love the fans. I love the sport. I love it. And it indicated to me that this guy at 33 may even be around 2 or 3 more years.
Gareth, Terence Crawford made it very vocal throughout the week that he wanted the winner of the fight. Now, obviously, we saw on the night that there's weight classes in boxing for a reason. Canelo's also spoke about the Benavidez fight, but in all honesty, never seems to be as pumped up for that fight. Do you think there's a reason behind that?
Yeah, probably part ego, timing, and money again. Does he want to give Benavidez as a big payday? I think I've had this debate. Canelo at middleweight against Crawford would be interesting, but Canelo against super middleweight,
yeah,
absolutely. Same problems for Crawford. He'd be overawed by the power. I think he's an amazing boxer, and I've got him very close to my top pound for pound leader, Terence Crawford. But I think it's a step too far to face Canelo. I think it's a great fight, but again, I think Canelo would overawe him. If there's enough money in it, I think it will happen in the end.
Yeah,
I agree. Benavidez, tall, big, strong, powerful, come forward, tenacious.
I think that's why Canelo won't probably fight him.
Yeah, but I don't think he's a guy that ducks other fighters.
No, I get that, yeah. Just seems like that's the one that he's been least interested in for a while.
He's making him wait. Making him wait. He's just saying, listen, I'm the A side. You'll wait and wait till I'm ready. He'll do it in his time. That's what will happen.
Gareth, obviously, we saw Jai Opetaia from Australia, his first fight on UK shores. What a fighter. A lot of people after this weekend got him high in their estimations. We knew he was good from the Bradis fight. I spoke to Jai afterwards and he said 2-3 fights ago, I was having to fight on the undercard of footballers. Now I'm sat here, finally got the credit I've deserved. I believe it was revealed afterwards that Tyson Fury has approached him for sparring. Obviously, a very, very similar fighter to Usyk, probably as close as you're going to get him replicating it. Not to be for Jordan Thompson, but he took the fight when a lot wouldn't. Masterneck declined the fight. We know what happened with the whole React situation. But a real star unveiled on Saturday.
Yeah, well, he's elevated now because he's part of the Matchroom banner, and Eddie Hearn's done a great job with him in the last couple of weeks. Funny that on Saturday night, believe it or not, on TalkSport, I was saying, look at Opetaia, very similar silhouette and shapes to Oleksandr Usyk, with actually probably slightly faster hands with some of his combinations. And I was saying, Fury wants to get him. I wasn't aware that they'd been in touch. Fury needs to get him into his camp.
Absolutely.
He's the perfect sparring partner, round after round. You know, same fencing with the front hand.
Yeah, in and out.
Not doesn't create the angles that Usyk cleverly makes. But again, on his feet, very elusive, a lot of power. You've got to judge his performance based on a guy in Jordan Thompson who was probably, in reality, 4 levels below him. So, and again, I think that fight should have been stopped earlier than it was. Indeed, he was so easy for him to hit Thompson. But credit to him for taking the fight. But Opetaia is a very, very talented fighter. I'd love to see him in with React Paul, by the way. I think that's a terrific fight. But you've got to look at Opetaia as potentially the man in the division. Lawrence Okoli, prior to that loss to Chris Smith, you might have said, is he going to give Jai problems? But probably not. No, a star was born in lots of ways. On William Hill, he was my fighter of the week this week. Even though, was it Mario Barros?
Barrios win over Ugas.
Barrios over, hang on. No, my mind, I've been moving home and I've lost my mind. Hang on. I just wanted to find, there was a robbery on Saturday night.
There was Ramos Jr. versus...
Ramos Jr., not Barrios. Yes. Ramos Jr.
He wasn't very vocal afterwards, was he? Very humble.
Not enough.
Who won the fight fairly comfortably.
Against Lubin,
yeah.
Yeah, that was an absolute disgrace. If I've seen a robbery this year, apart from Sandy Ryan's robbery as well, by the way.
Yeah, that was also very mad.
Both of those robberies.
A lot of people saying in the Sandy Ryan situation, and it's a crazy way to view the sport, but at least it was a draw and it wasn't so bad that she got the
loss. It was a terrible decision.
Of course, absolutely.
One of those judges scored it 97-93.
McCaskill, yeah, I know.
McCaskill. So how on earth could you see that in that way, that she dominated, what's that, 7 rounds to 3 or something? No. Unbelievable. And again, I thought young Ramos, I don't see how that fight went the other way to Lubin. I don't see it. Such poor judging. And like you said,
I find it almost tedious bringing it up time and time again, because we just keep having the same problems with boxing. I mean, when am I going to sit here with you and go, oh, we've not had a scorecard like this for ages? Because you look back,
always happens. Yeah. It's the incompetence of judges, and it's just inexplicable. That was inexplicable on Saturday night.
Gareth, lastly, this weekend we've got a banger. The fight is starting to sort of fire up a little bit. Leigh Wood's doing his media obligations tonight with Ariel Helwani. The pair will first see each other face-to-face on Wednesday at the Open Workouts. Linus Adolphia and Kieran Conway is a fun co-main event on there as well for the British middleweight title. Let's pick up on it, though. Josh Warrington's stock, if anything's gone up after Michael Conlan's defeat to Luis Alberto Lopez. We know that he was a little bit gun-shy early on in his fight with Lopez Warrington, and sort of was quite strong down the stretch. Obviously, Leigh Wood boxed to a masterful game plan in the rematch with Mauricio Lara. It should be a good one.
Oh, yeah, it's a really good one. I think I favour Leigh Wood. more miles on the clock with Josh Warrington, but I've picked against Josh Warrington before and been completely wrong. It's a terrific all-British clash. Both men will deliver. They're both stalwarts of British boxing. You look at both of their last 6 fights.
Yeah, it's incredible.
They really have been. Yeah, I mean, Josh Warrington's been at elite level now for probably
years.
Certainly world level, 7 years, 6, 7 years. Has looked amazing. But Wood, in showing that he was able to outbox Lara last time around, keeping to his trainer Ben Davis's plan, I just favour him slightly in this contest to do damage late. They could both be down in this one. Josh Warrington needs a great performance for his career. Remarkably, neither of the pair have ever been able to get their followings, their big followings, to follow them to America and have a fight there. But I think it's a terrific fight. 12,500 people in the Sheffield Utility Arena is not enough. But it's going to be absolutely banging in there. It's a tremendous fight. And yeah, I'll be glued to it. I'll be watching it from the studio and Talk Sport and commenting on it, but cannot wait for the contest.
Well, Gareth, always good to speak to you. It is very refreshing. When we last caught up, I think it was on the day of, when we last caught up over Zoom, at least, it was on the day of Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. Boxing has certainly done its part so far this year, especially if we get the Fury Usyk news. We eagerly await, as always, something more on Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. But so far, it feels like a good time to be a boxing fan. Would you?
Always feels like a good time. It's always fascinating. There's always things to talk about. It's always a pleasure to speak to you, Cheeky Charlie Parsons.
Man like Gareth, a final little vape for us before they go away, before they're banned for good. Top man, Gareth A Davies, thank you for speaking to us at Boxing Social.